If my old self was talking to me right now, he would have nothing to do with me. He would reject me outright and refuse to speak to me. You see, I have been incarcerated for 5 years. And so, to that outmoded guy I used to be, I would be considered worthless. The irony of life is that that guy, my former self, riding at the apex of his career, was about to fall into the deepest pit of despair. There are some lessons that you learn at rock bottom that you can't see from the mountaintop. I immigrated from South Korea at the age of 5. I know firsthand the struggles of being disconnected from family, culture, and community. The media presented the Asian man in a certain light, effeminate, goofy, second class, and I, along with everyone else, seemingly ate it up. My poor mother, who had to work herself to the bone to provide for us, often took out her frustrations on me. So naturally, I perceived myself very negatively. However, I found dignity in one thing: education. I never addressed the negativity and abuse I suffered, instead, focused on getting into the best college that I could think of, UC Berkeley. However, when I actually began attending Cal, I immediately fell out of place. I had tied my self worth to academics, and when I no longer was the best student, I had nothing to cling to. I felt like all those things the media and my mom had told me were true. So I lashed out. I stole laptops to fill the gaping hole inside me, and as a result, I was expelled. This point in my life was filled with self reflection. Outside of academics, I knew that grit and determination would get me through anything. The one thing I took away from my early childhood was that nothing could ever break me. I began working odd jobs and gigs. Eventually, I started doing data entry at a small startup in San Francisco called Apartment List. I outperformed all the other contractors there by almost 200%. It was not only through my work ethic, but by creating tools and workflows that I was able to excel. At the end of the project, Apartment List made me an offer. I was a force. I led a team that increased the onboarding rate by 300%. When I started, we had around 500 partner communities onboarded. And by the end of my 2 years as data analyst, we had nearly 10,000 listings. I played a crucial role in connecting all that data to our backend through API integrations and data scraping. I wore many hats, moving seamlessly through operations, growth, and analytics roles. It was here I developed a love for the breadth and depth of building a product. When I was promoted to product manager, I became a leader and a creator. I discovered what truly excites me in product: features that impact users on a deeper level. Two projects that I led come to mind. We introduced a lead scoring system that utilized unique metrics to determine the likelihood of a lead converting in order to better focus our sales pipeline. As a result, we increased our conversion rate by nearly 30%. With Compass cards, we guided users to similar listings based on, among other metrics, interesting things like engagement with certain sections of the app. Apartment List told me that they didn't care about my lack of degree, that my work spoke for itself. However, I found out later they were paying me drastically less than they were paying all my similarly skilled and experienced colleagues. I felt hurt and disrespected, but instead of fighting for what I deserved, I left. I needed to find opportunities to help me develop my voice. I lacked the confidence to stand up for my ideas and the strength to stand up against exploitation. I went to Real Mobility as COO. Real Mobility designs and sells wheelchair attachments that increase mobility by effectively converting them into scooters. I ran the day to day operations, including managing production, finances, shipping, partnerships, and even customer service. Most importantly, though, I felt good empowering people to be able to move and navigate the world, enabling them to realize their own worth in the community. During my time there, I increased profits every month, recording some of the highest sales periods in the company's 10-year history. Since part of my agreement with real mobility, including profit sharing, I was expecting to be compensated accordingly. However, when my paycheck came, this wasn't reflected. When I approached the CEO, he dismissed me, saying he had made adjustments to the books. Looking at the records myself, I saw obvious evidence of fraud. And so there I was, at the peak of my career, faced with a choice. The correct answer was obvious, but I never addressed the toxic mindset I had culminated from my early childhood experiences. When the media told me who I was, I didn't fight back. I believed them. When I felt alienated at UC Berkeley, I didn't reach out to my peers. I lashed out instead. When my mom kicked me around the room and called me stupid as a child, I believed her. When apartment Liz treated me unfairly, I didn't stand up for myself. And so, when faced with another attempt to exploit me, I fell into old patterns. I embezzled company funds to recoup what I felt was owed to me. Now, I had done enough work on myself throughout the years to know that I had just re engaged in a cycle of self sabotage. I had just met the girl of my dreams, I was doing meaningful work, and yet here I was, again, embroiled in criminal activity. I felt horrible. I knew I had to come clean. I approached him and tried to explain to him what I had done and why. I'm not sure what I expected his reaction to be, but it surely wasn't the one I got. He accused me of over $100,000 in embezzlement. I showed him the evidence of the $10,000 I actually took, but he was adamant. During the argument, I got heated and I said vile and hurtful things. He attacked me, and in an attempt to avoid further physical confrontation, I tased him. He died from complications from the taser. During my 5 years of incarceration, I initially felt justified in my response to his attack. I couldn't believe that I was sitting in a jail cell for what amounted to self defense. The lessons I learned from that experience didn't come overnight. It took time, reflection, and work to change my perspective of the world and my role in it. I became a part of a community. I heard the stories of my peers and developed real empathy for the pain we shared. I saw how our traumas affected us. We had fallen into the holes that society created and allowed them to destroy us. I finally understood what was important in life, and it was then I saw how I could change the world. These days, I see the story a bit differently than I did during the early years of my incarceration. Although it was never my intent to kill a man, I see now how living inauthentically is the first step on a slippery slope from which a possible consequence is the loss of life. All entities, human or corporate, must hold themselves accountable over their actions or the actions of their users or their products. The most important thing in the world is not money or material objects. The real treasure in life is living with a purpose and a mission, and above all, living authentically by that purpose. My mission is to empower the users of my products. I want to change the way companies and users relate to each other. This is the only way to build deeper engagement and loyalty. I focus on ideas that build community and on companies that are brave enough to carry the burden of responsibility for their products. Companies and the people they represent have a moral obligation to create environments that are representative and positive. At the end of the day, we are humans, and as such, there will always be a need for the human touch in the increasingly digital world. Since my transformation, I have focused on community-driven and responsibly minded projects. I've started my own app, Co-Fitted, where users can upload and model clothing that fits and makes them feel good in their bodies. Users are able to browse other user submissions that share the same body measurements as them. This enables users to actually see themselves, while joyfully creating themselves. Co-Fitted is built on the principle of compensating its users for their part in building our community and for the data they share. We want shoppers to feel fully represented while engaging with our app. Every body type, every ethnicity is welcomed and appreciated and featured. With Inner Bloom, we focus on creating and finding communities based on factors deeper than skin. We provide an AI companion that will help you navigate the mental stressors of life by connecting you to others who share similar stressors and life stories. This type of vulnerable connection is the only way to build true relationships. Our vision is to help people find out their life purpose based on their own uniquely difficult life journey. Today, I can look back on my life and tell my story with complete honesty, with the conviction that my past life does not define me. I have allowed my experiences to transform me for the better, to be better, and to do better. I know now that it will be from what I do tomorrow that I will be judged.